Hey everyone, it's Rod with Pow Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, news and interviews. Also home to the best MJ community. Today is Tuesday, December 17th. Hope you're well. And in this video, we've got an exciting update. Canada excise tax reform is on deck in 2025. We're going to discuss some news that came out from the business of MJ and has to do with the excise tax stamp as well. So consolidating it from one province, so 13 different provinces or territories into one national stamp. That'll help cut down on costs and administrative burdens. And then also in 2025, we could potentially see, as part of the 2025 budget, we could see an improvement to excise taxes whereby these Canadian producers have to pay less taxes, right? And there's in some cases where it's 4 times more for MJ excise tax than say spirits, so hard alcohol, right? And I think this was always something that we were going to see happen. And I've been on record to say that it's probably going to happen sometime around the same time rescheduling happens in the U.S. because what is the main thing that happens after rescheduling? 280E goes away, so that major tax burden in the U.S. would go away. And I think it makes a lot of sense that they would probably both happen around the same time. But we'll discuss all of this news and more. Before we do, make sure to smash the like. If you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, you'll be notified on any future content. Also, you can follow us over on X. Shout out to Elon. His platform is amazing. The handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. So this was the article from today, December 17th, 2024, Business of MJ. Canada announces plans to reform MJ excise tax in 2025. So Canada is set to explore a new excise tax system for MJ businesses next year in welcome and long-awaited efforts to cut red tape. This was something that we mentioned as well in the interview with Hugo Oxley. Hugo Alves from Oxley. He said that this was something that he believed was more than likely going to happen, that he would like to see happen, and he believed that it was going to happen. And sure enough, that's exactly what we got. So he called it. In its 2024 Fall Economic Statement, FES, published this week, the federal government announced new plans to explore transition from MJ excise duty stamps specific to each province and territory to a single national stamp. The current system requires producers to navigate 13 separate provincial and territorial excise stamps, a logistical headache, and industry leaders argue adds significant costs and administrative burdens. Canada's excise tax on MJ, which sits at $1 per gram or 10% of a producer's selling price, whichever is higher, has been the Achilles heel of its adult use industry, leading to a thriving illicit market and growing trend of the Canadian producers selling products abroad to increase profits. And we know that the Ontario government invested $31 million to help crack down on the illicit market and shops, etc. So this is, in my opinion, the writing on the wall, right? Like we're starting to finally see the federal government and provincial governments catch up with the industry and start to support the industry. Even Justin Trudeau said in 2023, it's time for the federal government to catch up and start supporting the industry. So I think we're going to see, if it's not in 2025, I think 2026 excise tax lowering that will happen. But like I said, I think 2025 makes a lot of sense. It's also what I've been saying that, once big tech crypto tops out at some point in, second quarter of 2025, I think MJ is going to benefit greatly. And this is really starting to line up again with that thesis and way of thinking. It has also caused a huge backlog in payments, with reports suggesting that as of the middle of 2023, more than $200 million was owed to the Canada Revenue Agency, or CRA, in excise tax. And as we know, the Canadian government has been the biggest beneficiary of legalization here in Canada. And if you recall the video that I posted yesterday with the interview with Tilray CEO on Fox Business, he said that the company is not going to be affected by U.S. tariffs. And also he thinks that MJ will be legalized under a Trump administration sometime in the next 4 years, whether or not that's medical. I also posted a video on that as well, the medical legalization pathway that had to do with a podcaster and Brian Lanza. If you haven't seen that, check that out. Those two videos are must-sees. But Tilray in that video said that, like you said, it's about 4 times more excise tax for MJ than it is spirits. And he said that they paid the Canadian government last year $135 million in excise tax. So just think of how much that's contributing to the Canadian economy and creating jobs, etc. I think it makes a lot of sense that the rest of the world is watching, and I think this is this has to happen. We have to, like, a lot of these companies are paying 1/3 of their entire revenue is going to excise taxes. Like, that's insane. If that goes away, if Tilray ended up paying, or if even it was, a quarter, instead of a third, that's going to add, tens of millions of dollars to some of these companies' bottom lines, which could be the difference maker between unprofitable Canadian LPs and profitable licensed producers. A Business of MJ report in March, Canada's House of Commons Standing Committee on Finance recommended a change in excise tax. The committee proposed that the tax be limited to be 10% ad valorem, whatever that means, a percentage of wholesale selling price of the MJ product. Weeks later, the government published a long-awaited final report on its review of the MJ Act, which made 54 recommendations on how to improve the country's adult use market, including making changes to the excise tax rate. However, in April, hopes of tax relief of Canada's MJ industry were derailed as the country's federal budget 2024 revealed excise taxes would not be changed. Signs that reform could be in the cards for next year, with the economic statement suggesting more details will roll out in budget 2025, and that's expected in February. So there could be some major changes between now and then. And again, this is kind of where I'm thinking that we're going to see big tech and crypto top out as well sometime in February, March. But that could impact, broader market selling pressure could impact MJ in the short term, but I think, in the long term, it could go on to become one, if not the best performing sectors in the years to come, in the coming couple of years. So that's an interesting timeline. And during a small cap stock season, which I think could happen at some point in January or February as well, MJ may be poised to benefit greatly. Where was I at here? In February is therefore very welcome news for Canadian businesses. While the harmonized stamp is seen as a positive development, it doesn't address the industry's larger concerns about the federal excise tax rate itself. Producers argue that the high tax burden combined with operational costs threatens the viability of legal businesses, particularly small and micro producers, right? And there's still over 1,000 LPs in Canada. Like, we don't need that. Just think of how many's in the US as well. We're already seeing price compression and huge saturation and competition and, like markets that are more mature, like, California, Colorado, etc. So I think this is necessary, and, we have to combat the illicit market as well. And then one thing that came out today, I've been on record to say I think that this is going to happen. Whether or not it happens this year, next year, in the next couple of years, I think that this is the most likely scenario. Just in, President Biden calls for a ban on congressional stock trading. Nobody in the Congress, I love adding the Facebook, the Google, in the Congress. Nobody in the Congress should be able to make money in the stock market while they're in the Congress. I don't know why I just didn't say in Congress, but okay. So Tilray, we had a daily bear flag. We pretty much reached that. We had 114 as the target. We hit 115. Gotta love technical analysis. MSOS also had a daily bear flag, and it hit its target and a descending triangle, which is very close to seeing that target as well at 306. So keep in mind as well, if you're a Canadian resident, you're going to get an extra $7,000 worth of contribution room to your tax-free savings accounts with TFSA. I've already maxed out my TFSA, so I'm just waiting for that extra contribution room come January 1st. And then this year it's $7,000 again. So you'll be able to take $7,000 of your own money, put it into this account, and it grows tax-free. So if you take it out in 5, 10, 20 years from now, if you put in $100,000 and it's at $2 million, all tax-free. So I think that's also going to help the sector as well once we start to see tax loss selling come to an end. I believe the last day for that is December 27th. So we got another 10 days or so before that cloud of sell pressure is no longer over our heads. And then, like I said, with the TFSA contribution room and all of these major catalysts coming, right? Rescheduling in the US, we know that Trump's in favor of medical and wants safer banking, wants uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ, and wants rescheduling. And then if we get legalization of medical, full-blown federal descheduling as well, which could happen over the course of the next 4 years, that's not a whole lot of time to do it. But I think, if we all lock arms and work together as an industry, we can accomplish a lot in a very short period of time. All right, going into there, it's Rod with Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us in the pursuit of wealth. Let me know what you think of this news in the comment section, and we'll continue the conversation there. See you on the next video.